Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League. We are in for race number 4. It's presented by WTRL. We're out for America's East with Division 1 and the women's top category in the A's are out on course right now. I'm Nathan Guerra. Dave Towle next to me. Dave, it was interesting racing that has gone on throughout the day. We've seen a lot of attacks. I watched a little bit of APAC this morning. Ed Zeb Bro were on the attack over and over again right alongside of Team Arrow. We also saw something similar going on where it wasn't just Sprinters Delight necessarily over and over again. They definitely had to cover moves, although I do think all said and done, it was still a day for those who just got a lot of neuromuscular kick.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you really can't get past that, can you? But certainly we saw extremely aggressive racing. Riders were getting their tickets punched lap after lap out there. It was really those counterattacks that would come after the sprints. And boy, there are a lot of them out here today, Nathan. 33 kilometers of racing. I'm sure Cy Bradley will get us all up to speed on the details of this course. As they say, there ain't no party like an after party in Richmond, that's for sure. This cobble climb to wrap things up. It's quite a sting in the tail, no doubt about it. But really, you're right. I think the sprinters don't have a better day than what they have out here today, a chance to really shine if that's what you're all about.
100%. And speaking of Cy, let's go ahead and head right on over to his look at the course. Cy Bradley from over on YouTube with a little bit of preview of what you're coming at you here in the broadcast.
Hey Zwifters, welcome to Richmond for the Libby Hill after party. And despite the name Libby Hill, this is a sprinter's paradise. So roll out the quadzillas, bring out the big guns, let's get our sprint on. No need for Anna Russell's whiteboard this week because there's just 3 segments to contend, albeit the first segment we're going to do 5 times. We're here on the Fan Flats and it's the Monument Street Forward Sprint, 220 metres, all about power, all about speed and all about great timing. But watch out for those splits that could happen later on subsequent laps after this sprint. 3 power-ups along the way, the aero, the draft and the dreaded burrito, disabling that draft for 10 seconds, everyone with a 2.5 meter radius. Once we've done this 5 times, we're going to head to the Broad Street Sprint. And again, we're going to do this once, but there's fastest through and first across the line, before we then descend Broad Street and head towards the infamous Libby Hill Cobbles. And here it is, the final segment, the infamous Libby Hill Cobbles. The segment itself is around about 700 metres, but it's this part here, the final 300 metres, where the final and the winning moves are going to come. Utilise those power-ups, utilise that power, put it all on the line to maximise the finish line points, the fastest through points, and first across the line points on this, the finish line and final segment of the Libby Hill after party. Good luck and ride on.
Big thank you to Cy Bradley for putting those little course previews together for us. Heading over to his YouTube to get an idea of a little bit longer look at the course, in-depth detail, longer videos. Dave, we're right on our course immediately. And speaking of Anna Russell, we do have her here. And I heard this morning, her and Kate took a little bit of like, I don't know about that, and no whiteboard. I love it that they're having a little bit of interaction about it. But here's the thing. Did Anna bring her whiteboard today? Because she has had quite the sprint on her as of recently. Can she show that off, or are we going to see a walk away? I'm seeing WLC immediately off the front, though, here, Dave. Interesting to see. Also, Stephanie Clark, watch out for her. She's been a crazy sprinter as of late. Looking to catch up to Kat Follis. Will she be able to do so? It looks like it's going to be Blushki and Clark to the line with Grossman. An arrow power-up on Grossman as well. Interesting she wasn't able to grab that. She's really had some contention for these sprints this season here. I really feel like some of these other teams have stepped it up when it comes down to the quadzillas.
Well, it's really fascinating as Christina Grossman becomes a much better all-around rider. A few other riders, Anna Russell's a great example, really tapping in. In Anna's case, the mom watts have upped For sure. But when you look at it, there's quite a few riders that really could say they've got a wicked sprint. And this is what we've been talking about, Nathan. Take a look at the back of this group. This happens lap after lap. There is so much sprinting that goes on out here and so many points. We've seen, in my mind, a record tally of points by individual riders out here. I guess it'd be nice to take a moment for folks who are just joining us to explain the format of racing. This is actually a points race that we're doing here. It has a lot of elements of a straight up road race, but with all of the sprints that are have a bonus element to them. There's 5 of them at Monument Avenue. There's also fastest through segments, which is a unique feature, just part of what makes it so cool out here. As we watch Nolte, the OTR rider, fighting to get back into the group. She's got a chance, as it looks like they're sitting up a little bit here. What a fight this is going to be. But again, another sprint on Broad Street. There's only one shot at that one, and there's also a fastest through segment out there. So as far as points per minute, Nathan, I don't know if we have a course that serves up more out here.
I would love to see like a points per minute. How many points are there? I mean, there's got to be a equation for that depending on how fast they go.
This might
and the
be
points
it.
that be the highest points per minute course for sure. I would think, Dave.
PPM. I guess that's a new category to look at.
I love it. And also to see what kind of average power changes happen because of points per minute. There's a whole nother data point
actually
to work with, actually.
Nathan, I think this would be a fascinating stat. And I would say, boy, it was interesting. We had a couple riders today who were just on a roll. But how about what rider has picked up the most points per minute
in their highest PPM
racing career?
Oh,
right.
Man.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that stat. That could be something that you put next to their name, points per minute on the Richmond course. Katie Loker versus versus Coralie Arthur today is definitely one that you'd say this points per minute situation, especially with the fastest through segment points being able to stack on top of each other a little bit. I mean, this is a very interesting new data point. I think we need to put it into a couple of emails. Perhaps we'll see what happens there. But this is
the right people, Martin.
Yeah, I guess we might know the right people here. So, okay, real quickly though, we've got something working out here that I really love about this America's East, and that is going to be this situation with the points currently across per season. And that's going to be Wahoo Nicole versus Riot, 57-57. But then we also saw Crush It. We saw Cassandra Rush here saying, from the honor of its Cinderellas and ATP Stingers neck and neck at 52 and 52, almost encouraging each other on to push each other out here. Loving to see that. I also want to give a little bit of shout out to the new Sisu Kit and their team out here right now with Sisu Do, alongside of, it looks like, Cryogen Gallopin battling it out a little bit there, 50-46. They got a little bit more to work with. Now, I got a question here. Because there is the I Race Like a Girl Sisu, right? And then there is the Sisu Racing Royal City. Same name, different kit, right? And different team organization. We're just underneath a totally different team, but with a similar name, if I'm not incorrect. And so I just want to make sure people aren't confused there, as there is Sisu Racing Royal City and Sisu Do, different kits, as you can see there on the left-hand side of the screen, just with a similar name there in the game name.
Yeah, they would be racing as independent organizations. They're not sharing a director sportif or anything like that. So it speaks to the fact that, like Sisu or Aeonian, we've got quite a few teams that have franchised, for lack of a better term. There's just so many riders that want to be a part of it and race. And you'll see that also at the A, the B, the C, and the D level. Sisu is a Finnish construct. We've talked about it a fair amount recently. The team has an incredible vibe, and it really is an upbeat way to look at life. That's for sure. And certainly, it's been impressive what they do, Nathan. But going back to what you were talking about, this is the first time that Riot has been pushed this hard. Being tied at the middle part of the season with Wahoo Nicole Americas really speaks to the quality of that WLC team. That's Amanda Boyd out of Canada. Candace Anderson is also Canadian, along with Skylar Goodsward, Nicole Jursic, and Hannah Toombs are the two Americans, and then they have an Australian as well, Stacey McCudden. So they have really stepped up, and we're becoming more familiar with those names on that team. But Nathan, there's riders with a lot of potential on that squad. And to be fair, Riot has dominated. They've turned down, at this point, Nathan, I believe that they've turned down 4 opportunities to join the Premier League because they've enjoyed racing where they are in the community. The time works for them. And riders like Anna Russell, Christina Grossman, they're just a couple of the names that we've become extremely familiar with out here.
Be interesting to see with the new knockout series and the way that the whole tournament structure with esports goes, if perhaps a little bit of desire to race at that top level might change up, or if that comes down into the community side of racing and we see some more tournament structure there as well. As I think that a team like Riot, with the kind of tactics that are needed in knockout racing, would absolutely love that. Now, look, speaking of tactics, Russell and Real off the front, that's quite the combination.
They're tacticking
quickly.
They're tacticking.
Russell with the lead out here, too. I think Real's trying to get on the wheel here. And it looks like that's going to happen. She's pushing 7.6 watts per kilogram, jumping right on it here. Roberts from WLC. This is a monster effort. I have seen orange numbers for the last minute or so from Anna Russell, all in, and this is going to blow things apart. Double points coming through for first across the line from Riot right now. They're not. I don't believe they're being caught here, Dave. I think they've got this hands down. As Laura Perry looks to try and get across. It's not going to happen for the first and second. They're going to sweep all the way through. Well, not sweep, but I think they just took first, second, fourth,
and
fifth across the line with Cameron and Grossman. Lieberman able to stick herself right in the middle of all that there, as well as Laura Perry jumping in there. That was quite the move there from Riot, just dominating the points there on that second lap.
Yeah, Rachel Lieberman also is proving herself to be much more than just a climber out here. That was tactically astute, Nathan, from Riot. That's Anna Russell at her best, to be honest with you. And that'll have the alarm bells ringing back through this group, although none of these women are going to be surprised. Riot has always used advanced techniques and tactics. They race aggressively. They race with their head. They're also brave. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about the way that Riot races. It makes the sport so much more fun. That's for sure. I'm waiting for Cryogen. You can see that blue and white of Cryogen to make their move out here as well. This is another highly respected and talented team. They've got a Brazilian rider on this squad. That's Cristina Pires. A couple of Americans, Karen Richardson and Allison Thompson. Watch out for them. Isabel Goupil, as well as Sarah Ryan and the Australian Trudy Marquardt. The only reason I don't tell you where Sarah is from, because I think that's the Bahamas, but I'm now doubting myself. Bermuda. There we go. Racing out of Bermuda. So good to have you with us here. I always love when the small island nations are represented. I think that's extremely cool. So Caleb Carl, I see over there on the men's side of things, they're just getting out onto course.
Fashion. Look at the guy. I love it. He's got these goggles on. I mean, Caleb Carl. Next to him, look at the talent
looks
that's
like
next to him, too. These names that are popping up. I'm seeing Caleb Carl, Bruce Bird, Joe Carroll. I mean, Ryan Ivany. Eric Sorensen. I mean, McGee is here. We've got quite the stacked field. Alex Tenselhoff has shown up from WLC. Central is going to be lit tonight. This is, wow, we're thinking the exact same thing because this is
kidding.
Talk about fire tonight when it comes down to the watts that are going to be produced coming from Skylab, WLC, Team Draft, Abscape Finesse. The Condors are here. Men's racing's about to go off. Women's racing's already popping. I love America's East. One of the coolest, this is one of the coolest to ever broadcast. I have so much fun with it. And also some of the most committed esports racers I've ever seen on the platform come out of this division.
If we were to have smiles per minute, laughs per minute, I think that this group takes the cake, America's East. Don't tell any of the other divisions that, but this has always been so much fun. It's not just this season. There's been a real history of great racing, true blue, awesome people out here, like Laura Perry, there. As we take a look at the Wahoo Nicole Canadian, she's a cornerstone in esports racing. Both groups are Grupo Compacto all together right now. Let's see what we've got. The women. So again, quick review here for you. It's sprints galore today. 5 of them happening on Monument. So the women already have scored quite a few points. There is a Broad Street sprint, and that's really in that transition, Nathan, after we wrap things up. This is called Fan Flats that we're racing on right now. It's not completely flat, but it's about as close as it gets. That's the steepest gradient that you see, that they just went over at 3% there. But the transfer is actually a downhill shift as you drop down onto a separate plane in Richmond and then begin the ascent eventually up to the top of Libby Hill, a historic marker in the city of Richmond, site of the 2015 World Championships. So our points race well underway with all these sprints, fastest through segments. And we get a look at the peloton. Looks like Riot is calming right down here for a moment, as you know that they'll activate that machine once again here, Nathan.
Yeah, I have full expectation that we're going to have some more tactics being thrown down by Riot. They might change it up, though, a tad in order to not be, if you do the same thing over and over again. I guess, I mean, if it works the first time, we'll see if it happens a second here, but they might change it up a tad to see if they can catch somebody off guard here. Also, there's only so many matches. The other thing is, amongst the Riot team, saving Rathwell for the finish. What do you think there as far as Libby Hill and the talent that they have to work with here within the Riot team? It's such a punchy climb. You think Grossman will make it over the top there and be there with them and maybe even fight for the win?
It's interesting because it's a sprinter's climb for sure. And I mean, when you look at it, Coralie Arthur made it to second place. That would be almost a perfect example, Nathan, of what you were saying, that when you look at it, having riders designated for the finish, it seems like, well, that's what Danielle Estrate did, correct, with Aeonian. It seemed that way to me. She didn't really contest the intermediates.
She didn't do anything. She did like nothing the whole race.
Didn't even really see her. You're right. Yeah. So I have a feeling you might have nailed it. You might have just given away Riot's plan. Thank you very much. Anna Russell is muttering to herself right now. She's throwing some watch down. Of course, we don't know, but I think that you probably are onto something. Nathan, take a look over on look at both races. Very, very active right now.
Yeah, we saw a little push there from the I believe that's the OTR team off the front with Cassandra Rush for a second. Crushing it on the front. The Condors now making a move, though, and this has caught the races out a couple of times. They're actually on the exact same section of course. We'll have to probably use a replay for the women's side of things. We'll come back to them in just a second because, well, actually, we got to jump back on over to the men's here. And it is because the Condors on their first sprint, I want to see if this holds off for them. Tenslov coming across, and Tenslov, if he does get a moment, Alex does have an amazing kick that he should be able to pull off here. He's also got Sorensen on his wheel from Draft, who's also won at the highest level. Watch out for this kick out of this group because they've got 2 seconds and they've got plenty of landscape to work with yet with the chasing pack behind. They're about to take that left-hand turn. They're just being caught, which is not, they are actually not being caught by the group. I thought there was a full group there, but instead they've got a bunch of riders coming across to them. Interesting enough, and it is going to be Jeremy Ray giving it a go. And there it is. Ray, the Canadian, jumping early. And it looks like he's just going to take this away. Alex caught out from WLC. And, yep, Jeremy, I think, there he goes. Alvarado for second. Samuel coming on through for fourth, followed up by Roman fifth. That's the situation. Now, on the women's side of things, just a moment ago, Dave, we just saw a repeat. I said perhaps tactics won't work out twice. They made me eat my words.
You do it again?
Yeah, let's go.
We're going to jump over. Nathan has amazing ability to watch and monitor 2 races at once. Not many people could do that.
We'll see if I we'll see what happens there.
You've already proven that you do. Not to blow your horn for you, but that's already a fact tell you the truth. Not everybody's going to get it every time, maybe. But so this tactic, right? It's a sort of a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me kind of thing. So if the same tactic works again, you have to say to the rest of the field, well, obviously, you're going to want to watch for this here, because being able to put 4 riders in the top 5 at these intermediate sprints, you do that a few times, Nathan, and it's going to be very hard to get the points to come back on you. Let's take a look at what's going on. It looks like, is that Candeloro up there?
Up toward the front there, it looks like it's going to be Bishop that was leading things
Bishop?
out here. Yeah, and interesting enough, Claire Cameron right alongside of Anna Russell again, and Russell comes right from the turnaround, which, you know,
It's a little
usually if you
different.
go that early, though, it does not work out. And she just has this extended sprint that I am so incredibly impressed by with an arrow power up. Anna going head to head with their teammates.
It's a mega sprint. That's what
I
she's doing, these mega sprints. They start so far. Anna is a triathlete, a professional triathlete in her previous life, which only dates back a few months ago. But she just had her 3rd child and has come back as, I'm not going to say, Nathan, that she reinvented herself, but we've seen Anna Russell sprint like we never have before. Counter is, so this is not live action. We're actually, there you go. We're finishing up that replay. I wonder what happened there, what Rachel Elliott, because Rachel Elliott is smart to do what she was doing, Nathan. You could really put riders under pressure after that sprint. Have we talked about power-ups for this group? I don't think we have much. Let me quickly mention again that we've got the big 3 here. Well, I don't know if Burrito actually counts as one of the big 3. It's sort of it's kind of a bummer power-up, as not a lot of people see it as being super impactful, but it can make a difference here. As for 2.5 meters around you for 10 seconds, there's no draft if you
Are you
deploy it.
speaking
We've
to
also got
Natasha Elliott? I'm just making sure. Natasha Elliott, correct? Rachel Elliott's not racing here right now.
Oh, you know what? And what I really meant was Rachel Lieberman. Sorry.
Okay, Lieberman.
It wasn't the
Gotcha,
first
gotcha.
name; it was the last name that I had wrong.
Gotcha.
There. Yeah,
Just making
sorry.
sure.
There.
Just making sure.
Absolutely.
No, you're fine.
No,
You're fine.
thanks.
Like, but the moment you say the word Rachel, the words Rachel and Elliott
Well,
next to
that's
each
fear
other,
down your
that
spine,
then
right?
suddenly the entirety
or
of the
respect.
broadcast and show changes if you have a Rachel Elliott in the
Totally.
in the
I feel
Peloton,
terrible
sorry.
now.
No, it's okay.
Because-
I just wanted to make sure nobody was like, "Wait, Rachel Elliott is here?" Where that would
At
change
first,
the
I was thinking
entirety.
to myself, why would Natasha Elliott have come up in the last couple of minutes? And I'm like, I see what I did. Absolutely. So yeah, Rachel Lieberman, who's a rider out of Seattle, who has really, I think, over the last couple seasons, shown herself to be one of the better climbers. Certainly a real contender out here. So all right, that's Megan Rathwell that we're in with now on the Riot team.
We could speak a
Riot
little
has
bit to the data here as far as the average power put out in this lead group so far. Katie Clark up into 4.5, Judy Ann Park at 4.2, Sarah Bishop 4.1, Lieberman 4.1. I mean, all over 4 watts per kilogram. Jen Moraz there as well.
A lot of
from
power.
OTR. That's 5. All the top 5 are all over 4.0. There's a big jump down then from there. And I want to look through here and find Megan Rathwell. They're gonna hate me for this. So, I mean, if I look through here, I mean, this is open information, though. Anybody can go and look at Zwift Power right now and see where things are at. But in this lead group right now, Katie Candeloro, actually, 3.3. Stephanie Clark, 3.3. The sprinters are playing it really smart,
Wow.
actually. Christina Grossman, 3.4. So pretty smart plays here. Even Megan Rathwell, 3.5. So a lot of saving
That's an
happening
interesting-
there.
It's almost a great question, Nathan. Not totally a great question, just almost. Is what's more impressive, making the most power or making the least power and being in this front group? Obviously, if you're not in the front group, the conversation doesn't make any sense. But for everybody on your screen right now, the rider who's made the most average powers, Nathan just went through that list, or the least amount of. I think, least, because they've been the most efficient, and efficiency
Yeah,
is just
I
such a
agree.
massive part of cycling.
I 100% agree that at this point, unless you have no points to your name, which Megan Rathwell,
Yeah, that's true. If you've got no power
Stephanie
being made and you don't do
Stephanie Clark
anything,
has points to her
right?
name at this point, right? And
You know,
so
excellent point, Nathan. I completely agree with you. So it's almost like, well, that doesn't tell the whole story. It's really okay. You're doing a lot of work. You're not, but how many points per minute are you getting? Which is obviously going to be a stat we're going to have to bring on board.
I love it. How many points per minute have you brought home? And how many points per watts per kilogram? Right now, we can even add that to the equation as well. A little bit of attack here
In-depth
from
analysis.
Samuel. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, that one is really what matters here. How much energy
sure.
did you expend for the points that you are gaining? I mean, that's
So
really the
calories per
question.
point,
Oh
watts
my
per
goodness.
point, or calories per point. Right. I used
I
to have a
love
friend
it.
who everything he did in his life with cycling was about how many kind of miles per calorie, per dollar, I should say. That ratio of like, so if you eat bean burritos, you can ride forever. And speaking to our burrito here, and if you get them in some places in America, you can do it for 79 cents a burrito. So it's a lot of mileage or kilometers per burrito. Hey, let me throw it back to the action though. Nathan, look at Wahoo Lacole here. Holy cow.
Yeah, and it looks like Samuel from Fertori WLC is going to take this down. On the other side of things, from the women's, I mean, it's neck and neck here. I'm going to take a look at the replay with that as they just came through. But that was one of the most hotly contested on the women's side of things.
Look at how this is
Samuel from
blown
WSC
up.
just like completely walked away with that one. Well, you know what happened, Dave, is they ramped it up from way out and started jumping and jumping and jumping. And I think Samuel just timed it correctly for the final jump where everybody else kind of sat up and was like, enough is enough. And then from there, everybody kind of had to straggle through to find points. And it just created this long line of WAP bombs being thrown down and nuclear explosions behind.
And you were saying, Nathan, in a previous broadcast today that you get up against a wall of burritos out there, and that can put an invisible gap as you've got no draft there and have to close things down. I saw Caleb Carl trying to move up. This is going to be a replay. This is exactly what Nathan was talking about. Boy, the sprints have been from way, way out. It's audacious out here today. You can see the aero power up, that helmet there making you 25% more aerodynamic or slipperier for a very brief, it doesn't seem like 15 seconds sometime, how quickly it goes by. But this is in our women's sprint now. Candeloro, who's an up-and-coming sprinter, giving a real run for it. You can see her now slotting into the third spot as Claire Cameron is trying to get past Katrina Weiss. And Weiss, does she hold on? You got this perfect, Nathan. So again, back-end API will tell the real story, but it certainly looked to me like
It looks like
Weiss got it.
Weiss, Cameron right there with that 10 watt per kilo. Kendall there. Look at Grossman at the last second with Florzone as well. But I think Grossman just nips by maybe. Oof, that was
Look
so
how much
close.
faster Christina is moving than everyone else through here. She's an incredibly talented rider. And it looks like today she's got the power. She's just not quite getting her timing perfect. She
Yeah, it
could be
does.
winning these sprints.
That could have been
It's
a win right there. I agree with you there.
Yeah,
That was really, really
yeah.
close for that.
So she has the
situation.
power. And Nathan, I think that's one of the things that's so fantastic when you watch that power curve of how a sprint works. You only maintain that fastest, the very, very high end. It's about that 10-second power that you see. That's what they do on the track. That's about 250 meters for the very best athletes in the world, a little under that. But I mean, that 10 seconds of power, you've got to make sure it's the right 10 seconds. And that's incredibly hard to do for people who don't race to get that exactly right. It's threading a needle at 40 miles an hour.
Interesting development here off the front. We've got Dixon, who we've seen Brandon Dixon
Wow.
extremely aggressive actually the last couple of weeks over and over again. This guy just was the breakaway king, it feels like lately. And he's got Ivany right along with him. And, you know, Ivany, I want to give a shout out to him. He's been in a lot of the broadcasts. He's been jumping actually into, he's been almost like on the men's side, a little bit of a cornerstone in the community with getting some organization going, been really giving a lot of his time. Love what he's been doing across with the chase race as well. Riding for Abscay Finesse. They've really involved with the community. AF. Really appreciate them. And I think Ivany is also just a personality that helps with that cohesion of that team. And so now Ivany, though, the experience that he's bringing to the table when it comes to a breakaway like this is he's somebody who's going to know how to sit in the draft well if Dixon doesn't fight him too much. You can see him now backing off the 3.8, allowing Dixon to take that front wheel. He's going to jump right back on the wheel. Full expectation. He knows exactly how to jump right in the draft, working so well together. Look at that. There's no guessing right there as to whether or not he was going to fall off too far, if he was going to be able to reserve some energy. Boom, they hold right on to 46, 45 kilometers per hour. This is a breakaway that can gain some time if they are allowed that kind of rope to work with. And I wouldn't let this get too far out between these two. And it looks like that's exactly what Gunther and Paredes are thinking as well, as draft are looking to cover this quickly, as well as the Condors. They don't want this to go anywhere.
Yeah, well put, Nathan. They've got to be situationally aware here. This is where you watch a grass fire turn into a structure fire in a matter of seconds, and all of a sudden you've got a major problem on your hand. Hey, it turns out that RC Ivany is Vulcan. I don't know if you looked at his Zwift power, but you don't see that very often. Level 50 Zwifter as well. Tremendous experience, and I really appreciate your giving the bona fides there. It's extremely cool. He's a game changer. I've absolutely noticed what you're talking about out there. You're seeing his.
Yes, yeah. I was like, okay, what are we talking about?
What is Dave talking about? Yeah, all
I was
right.
like, I almost like hit my chest for a second there to like communicate, across to wherever, since we do live in the future at this point. Come on.
Live long and prosper, Nathan.
Okay, Scotty.
All right,
Come in, Scotty, as we warp on over to the
that's
women's racing as well.
So that was always one of Scotty's things, right? The engines just can't take it. They can't give any more power. Where all riders are going to be feeling that. It's going to be your Star Trek moment.
If you can even do the accent right alongside of the voice line, oh man, Dave, we've got a moment
do you think
here.
that I want the ridicule from our Scottish friends for trying that? They called him Scotty because, that's hysterical. It really is. I love our Zwift community. Nathan, did you hear that there's over 14,000 WTRL riders in the ZRL this season? That's A's, B's, C's, and D's, but it's an incredible number. Jeremy Ray. Here we go. We've got another attack. Draft is not messing around
breakout rider
today.
this season too.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy this past spring and winter has been all over the race scene and doing this over and over again. I love the way that he has been animating races, not only in ZRL but across the community.
Yeah, and look at this race right now. There's riders left, right, and center. These points are going to be gobbled up, but you can see, I mean, this is bananas out here, and we're just coming up on the midpoint. If you're just joining us, it is great to have you along with us. This is America's East that we're looking at. Libby Hill After Party in full effect. They're still on the fan flats right now. These are the 5 laps that they're doing in the basically flat section of Richmond before they head on over to Broad Street. That's where the finish line was. They still have that World Championship stripe painted across the road there, all the race hotels, and that's where the action was during the incredible week of the World Championships in Richmond back in 2015. We were talking about, look at this at the back of the group, Nathan, what a fight it is. And we've seen riders actually contesting sprints and then getting dropped 300 meters later, especially if you go a little too deep, go to the pain bank too many times. Eventually the teller tells you there's no more watts left here. You're done. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean that was close there, and I think the reason being, I would not be surprised if I see the name, what I like to say, the Big Bird, making moves, and it is. I didn't even have to know. Look, Bruce off the front.
Knew it was coming.
The counter. And yeah, you did. I mean, you just know at least at one point during a race, after the legs get a little bit tired. And I think Bruce smartened up a little bit because usually he's just doing this from front to the middle to the
now
end.
He's waiting until halfway into the race.
At least they've softened it up a little bit. 7 watts per kilogram off the front. Alvarado trying to go across to him. Everybody knows if you let this go, it's game over. So look at this. 6, 7 watts per kilogram on the front. The chases we saw earlier were 5, 4. No, this is alarm bells, Dave, because Bruce Bird off the front is, you don't want to let the Big Bird go.
No, there's your local little someone has an oil fire in their kitchen, and then you've got a skyscraper is burning down kind of fire, 4 alarm fire. That's what Bruce Bird is. And so you can see that reaction comes, and then now that kind of opens up the floodgates. To tell you the truth, Nathan, this racing is going to go, believe it or not, it's going to go ballistic. Alex Tenselhoff is moving up. You can see Bruce Bird's teammates did a good job of taking advantage of that work, and they're sitting on Sorensen as their mirror is there. Another big name now, Alvarado, up in this group, but Caleb Carl of Skylab. What a phenomenal story Caleb is, Nathan. I really enjoyed listening to you telling that story of his comeback and community support. And these are the moments when the Zwift community really shines. Condors, what a great name. Circling over the dead is hopefully the name of the game for the Cuevas, the rider that we're looking at right now. So this one's just body blow after body blow out here. This course, on paper, it looks like it should be relatively straight ahead, like a points race on the velodrome, but these racers make it so much more than that. These are the dangerous little splits that keep happening. All of a sudden, this goes from bad to worse, out of the frying pan into the fire. These guys are all going to come back here, but how many times can you go to the end of your rope?
It looks like it's going to calm down for a moment. They do got a couple more sprints to go. We're 3 deep. Now, in the women's side of things, let's go and take a quick look at a replay of what just went down. And off the front, the kick from Cameron. Grossman looking to follow there. Riot again on the gas here. And this is a replay of what just went down for their last time around for the sprint. They will be setting up for Broad Street in just a moment. And Riot, we see a couple of bodies going off the front here. And there it is. It is going to be Lieberman trying to make the chase, but Grossman makes it happen. We talked about timing last time. Well, she wasn't going to wait. It was just go all in, chips to the table, and
I wonder if she's
made
listening.
It happen. Oh, you know she is. So she is.
Yeah, and I have a feeling she's like, I'll show you, Dave. I'll show you timing, because she sure did, right? I mean, Christina Grossman's a great example of an athlete with that. She's always striving to do better, and poking the bear. I think that's fair to say, Nathan, that Riot has really come back rampaging today. I wonder if they had a team meeting and said, we're going to have a definitive one. We need to get our mojo back. What do you think? I mean, this is unlike them to even be challenged at this point, and they certainly feel like the old Riot to me. But Wahoo Lacole says, hey, guys, it's not over. We're still here, and we're still grinding. Watch out.
Oh, that's too loud. I need to deal with that, but that's the reason why right there. Anna Russell.
That terrifies me every time you do it.
I scared the crap out. Yeah, I know I did there, Dave.
Yeah.
I knew the moment I was going to push it was going to be like, wow. But I think Anna Russell probably got sick of losing. She got sick of losing. She's showing up here. The other thing I noticed here, something about some socks. There was like some sort of sockscapade. Like people are missing socks or something today. So that was the other thing I wanted to highlight. That,
are they claiming it's a client side?
Yeah, they were claiming that. Yeah, they were claiming that someone stole their socks. I don't know what happened there. We'll see if they can figure it out here in a second. But I don't know if it's going to matter because the sprint is on. Kendall Laura here's leading things out from ATP. Floorstone's there as well. But WLC, Laura Perry. Laura Perry's coming back from a little bit of illness, and she's showing us that the rest was good for her as she leads this out and takes it down. Perry crossed the line.
Good job, Laura Perry. All right, that's nice to see. There's another athlete, Nathan, who certainly hasn't shied away from the hard work. And also, I really appreciate her, another great community member, giving us the lowdown on, we were talking about Nadia Guntova last week, and Nadia, unfortunately, has had a couple tough knocks. That kid is just, you can't keep her down. So she is on the team. She's not racing tonight, but we'll see her as part of the squad, which is great for Wahoo Lacole.
What is going on?
Holy cow.
Some of the stronger riders again. Clark off the bat. Russell? No way. Is Anna Russell getting dropped at this point? Anna Russell is
downtown Payne City. This is nuts. These are riders. They're going to come back, but you typically don't see.
No, I don't know if they're going to let her. I don't know if they're going to let her.
Anna. I'm going to bet on Anna, but this is where I would continue. If I saw Anna Russell was in trouble, I would go all guns a-blazing at the front. And that's, I think, what they're doing now. They realize they might have one of the top riders in Zwift out here on the back foot right now. And who's the rider with Russell now? I don't know if she's willing to come through and help Anna. They might realize that they got one of the big talents in trouble here. Holy cow.
It's 4 seconds. It's gone. It's gone,
You're
Dave.
right.
It's so gone.
So, and they're going now, they're transferring off of Broad Street down into sort of like the foggy bottom part of Richmond. And that's where we'll start. After all this descending, they'll start their way back up to Libby Hill. That's a big surprise. Are you as surprised as I am? I have to think so. Oh,
I was
man.
not expecting Anna to
Shocker.
get caught out there at
Shocker.
all. That is, I mean, she did a lot of work, obviously, so far today. And so,
You know what? You made your point, actually, Nathan. That might not be a bad thing at all. Did you see how aggressive Anna was? That was clearly a plan. I think that she was setting up her teammates, and now we'll let them deliver the goods in the finale.
I
And
mean,
Christina Gross
43,
would be
43 points is not too bad.
nothing to shake a stick at.
No,
Not
and I'm
at
not
all.
sure that Anna has the kind of aggressive kick that would be needed against some of these riders over the top of the climb, perhaps. And she said, look, I've got a good sprint, a good kick. I'm going to go all in early on and see what can happen there when it comes to just, because this is kind of a muscle. I mean, you really got to bring the muscle to the to the table here over the top of these these cobble climbs on Libby. So we'll see. I mean, I think, well, I mean, I shouldn't speak. I want to see what her times are on Libby Hill. Maybe I shouldn't speak too early on that, but there is just reality that you got to commit somewhere. And I have a feeling she was committed early on, and that a lot of this in the back end has been given to a couple of other riders. I mean, who hasn't done any work when it comes to Riot so far?
Right. Well, before I even jump on that, Nathan, I'm going to say big picture, Riot is doing tremendously well out here. This is a great day for them so far. And I'm looking at Laura Perry here, the Wahoo Lacole rider, who's the only WLC rider sitting in the top 10. Did she pick up that fastest through segment there the last time through? I think she might have.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, I think she did.
Yeah,
I think
right.
she did. Yeah,
So
yeah, I think she did.
that was
Quickly
really
did.
good
I'm
for
sorry.
Perry.
I have to interrupt. I'm I have to really quickly here. Joe Carroll,
yeah.
just real
Wow.
quick. Here's what happened in this sprint before we get into the women's final here, because there are attacks going. There's attacks all over the place right now. I just want to highlight this is what the last sprint happened. They're going to have one more in just a second. Mira came on through. It looked like it was coalition with Painter. Then Gunther was next coming there from the draft team. Then there was a direct after this, a roll through immediately, an attack. And again, Bruce Bird, and we've got Dickinson off the front with Bird and Ivany, and they've got a 6-second gap with the chasing group. That's the situation in the men's side of things. Things are just fireworks happening everywhere out on course right now. Richmond is insane. 3 off the front in the men's race. But now look at this. In the women's race, we just saw another move going off the front, and I believe it was Cryogen actually making an early move before they even hit the bottom of the climb. She got brought back in, but one of the Cryogen riders, I believe it was Park, was just off the front with a little kick.
It is absolutely bananas right now in Richmond. It gets any crazier, we're going to have to call the National Guard. At this point now, it's 1.5, make it 1.4K to go for the women. We've talked about this big setup. This is the after party on Libby Hill. So as they make their way underneath this building that goes over the top of the river road here, they're going to make that hard 180-degree turn. Then it gets pretty lumpy, and then we slam onto the unbelievably steep first sector, and it's on like Donkey Kong there on Libby Hill. So the women's race is getting right down to it. The ultimate kilometer, the final kilometer, Nathan, begins right here, right now for the ladies. It's inevitable that we'll see an attack through this part of the course as riders already, it's really 2 races in one right now, a race to the bottom of Libby Hill, and then you've got to finish it on the cobbles. All right, women, down to it, the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, and we do see Claire Cameron making her way to the front immediately. Rathwell now sitting right on Cameron's wheel. Do you see the setup here if they're going to start leading things out? Because I know Cameron has burned a lot of matches, but I have a feeling it's going to be all about Rathwell to the line for Riot. She's put out hardly any effort so far. I've not seen her contest one sprint. Jennifer Reel as well has kept it pretty quiet for the back end. So what has Riot got up their sleeves? WLC is going to be here as well with the likes of Laura Perry. She's burned a lot of matches early on, but we'll see if she's able to recoup quickly. Watch out for Cassandra Rush. Here we go. Opening up, Sisu is going to be the first one to Clark. Nope, backing off. Just finding herself at the front, but it's going to be Rachel Lieberman there. 6.8 watts per kilogram. Going to be first lead out train.
All right, so here we go. Rachel Lieberman is one of the riders I'm expecting to see in our top three at the finish, and this would certainly be her MO, her modus operandi, is to get after this one. There's no reason for her to wait, as she's going to be one of those riders with the incredible FTP, and that'll get quite a response here. You can see that Riot has got Claire Cameron right there, and Megan Rathwell. I think those are the two hitters that they're going to be looking at, Nathan. Joey Lithgow, the fearless rider, in the mix. This is going to be huge for her to be a part of this conversation. We're going to find out who the real strong women are as they have now hit Libby Hill. Rachel Lieberman still on the front. Nathan, back to you. It's all in here.
Laura Perry looking to come across here. Quick little 6.4 watts per kilogram. Still Lieberman on the front. Only a couple of turns to go. Can she hold on? Here comes Rathwell. There's Arrow power up. Megan Rathwell waiting for this moment. She's got 8.4 watts per kilogram, but is the speed there to go across? Jennifer Reel holding on to the wheel. 8 watts
Holy
per
cow.
kilogram looking to come across, but Lieberman goes bottom to top. It just cannot be closed down. The speed was too much. Lieberman makes it happen. Rathwell, Reel, Elliott from WLC, Perry WLC, but man, what a move from ATP. Rachel Lieberman taking it down, but the tactics from Riot, they end up burning the house down, it seems like here, and I think Riot are back on top.
Oh, wow. So Belgian waffle ride coming up this weekend, and I know Jen Reel, that's a big event for her. What kind of form has she got? This is the strongest Jen Reel that we've seen, but Nathan, I got to say, it looks like Riot is back and in full effect. I think I might have to give my vote for 5K Hero might just go to Anna Russell again. We'll have to review that one. This is going to be a sprint for the guys here now as they are just about to wrap things up on Monument Ave. That's the last time they see that arch. And is it going to be, I believe it's the Chilean rider, Paredes, and watch out for the counterattack.
Look at Tenselhoff going across the bird and the rest here. This is it right here, Dave. This is the move. Because Alex Tenselhoff, when he makes a move, I've raced with this guy so many times in the KISS 100. He don't mess around. He goes all in, and he knows how to make it stick. Dickinson knows that this is it. They got two WLCs here. Bruce is off 5 seconds still. He attacked early on, grabbed the first across the line points. This is the move of the race. I don't think this is coming back because I think everybody else has nothing left in the legs now.
Take a look at Bruce Bird, the Canadian here. Now, I think that with this amount of distance, if there were two guys that could do it, it would be these two. Add in, Dixon is phenomenal today. And, of course, R.C. Ivany, the Abscape Finesse rider. Bruce Bird is tried and true. This Canadian is as tough as they get. He knows how to Canuck up, and that's what we're doing right now, Nathan. It's going to be two together. So the American Tenselhoff now joining Bird. This might be it. This is a potent two-man combo here. Again, 33K. They'll have a downhill sector. And Nathan, you can talk about the huge advantage that this group will have as they'll be avalanching down that descent. Well, these two are really going to be fighting the win. Maybe it'll be more than two, but Bruce Bird surging it right now. Tenselhoff, after bridging up to him, yeah, it's a bit of a testy relationship.
I just want to highlight here real quickly what we're watching on the main screen is Bird's early attack when he went at 20.4K. We're 26K down in the lower left right now. And then you can see the moves that went across. We saw the moves there. There's Dickinson and Ivany going across. This is at 20.8. There's the move. As you can see, they're all together. Then, as we get closer to the sprint section a little bit later, Bird just says, forget it, and goes on his own. Then we have Muir trying to get across with some of the Condor team, as you can see. Then they all come back together. The sprint here, though, from Tenselhoff to get across, that's how we all got to where we were. Bird said, forget it, I'm going on my own. Then these next three come through after the sprint. That's how we got to where we are, and now we're heading into the final.
Well, we've seen some miraculous rides out here today. So, Nathan, Draft is the team here in red. They're a plucky team. They certainly punch above their weight. They were in the Premier League. They've got a lot of experience, and you've talked about Alex Tenselhoff. His racing IQ, as high as they get, no doubt about it. Can these two do it? 13, it wouldn't be bad.
I don't know if it was Dixon a good idea to get rid of Dixon, but Bird just said, forget it. I think Tenselhoff sat in and waited, and Bird just said, I'm not doing that.
I don't wait. Canadians don't like waiting. So Yeah, and I mean, so Tenselhoff, I mean, certainly sitting on Bird, is there a better draft in the business?
I mean,
Bruce
Dixon's
Bird,
at 188 beats per minute. I mean, it's not like Brandon Dixon was not given crazy wattage here. 359 watts, 189, but it just
he's
wasn't
not
enough.
lagging. Totally, Nathan. And I mean, he's got to be thinking, guys, if you let me get up there, I'll help. I'll help dig. But
Yeah, but I mean,
Bruce
at
Bird's
14
having,
seconds, it's too late at this point because now they're going to sprint for the Broad Street, and that's just going to come back. So Bird's almost put himself in a tough spot, but he don't want guests, it seems like, especially if he brings 2 WLC with him, that only lowers his chances, right? So he's got a choice. Bring 2 WLC with me or just take the risk that I can make this happen on my own, and he's decided to make it happen on his own.
I think they're going to give back 5 seconds, Nathan, but I think this break continues to be a threat.
I'd have to agree. Now, Bird here with an arrow, that's going to make him hold on to Alex's wheel because Alex actually has a 12 watt per kilogram kick after sitting on Bird's wheel for quite a while. We'll see if Alex just sits right on up. He's going to take the points, and then he's going to work together with Bruce. It looks like he didn't continue on. He's not trying to drop Bird. Yeah, he knows he needs the wattage here. And now we do see they are going to do not catch Brandon before the line. Draft able to jump in there. So this is a draft WLC kind of night.
Dixon's thrown in the towel as far as that effort goes, and boy, that's going to burn so many matches. Now, this is going to be another split that's happening. Draft is putting 3 riders up into the top 6 at this moment. It's amazing how quickly things are changing. It just goes back and forth out here. And now Bird coming over the top. So we're going back to the Tête de la Corsa, the front of the bike race. Well, that taste is blood, Anna. That's the iron in the blood, the bursting blood vessels in your lungs. So that's good. That means you tried your very, very hardest. Right? Anna is awesome.
I mean, I think unless she was chewing on her handlebars. I mean, that's the other option too. Oh my goodness. 9 seconds here, Dave. With this downhill, these guys aren't kicking. They're not kicking.
Would tell you, everything would tell you that's not enough and that's not going to work. But boy, when's the last time that betting against Bruce Bird worked out for you?
Well, not just that. It's Bruce Bird and Alex Tenselhoff. I mean,
right? Yeah.
Like you've got two that if they really want to, I feel like they could give a little more here to do it. But we got to see a couple more kicks. Here we go. They are kicking, though, through the section they need to. I'm seeing 6 watts per kilogram on the flats. 54.
They're going for it. Oh, they're doing it. I mean,
okay, let's get a comparison. Now 66, though, we just saw there. Ooh, that's a big difference, Dave. That's a lot of speed.
It is, but it doesn't go on for that long. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that these two with that small, let's call it 10 seconds, are going to be able to do this. It's 8 seconds now, so it's trending that direction. But if there were any two that could, it would be these guys.
Everything's going to tell us right here, Dave, is what it's going to tell us. When it flattens out and how high they keep the speed right here versus the pack is going to be the whole story. Because as it comes down right here, and whether or not the pack responds with speed is going to be whether or not they're caught.
And it's not always just about the breakaways. We have well learned, Nathan, is what these two are doing now is giving their teammates a free ride. They can sit on the wheels here because other teams are going to be forced to chase. So even if they do get caught, they've made a significant move forward.
They're not playing nice. They're not playing nice.
These two recognize it's strength recognizing strength here. They're almost going to neutralize each other, I think, because already Tenselhoff, remember, he sat on Bird for a while and then came through and took the points. Well, that's going to enrage Bird. No, it won't. I'm just kidding.
I think Bird's getting enraged right now because Tenselhoff's not working for a moment there. So Bird just went to the front at 6.
Speaking of angry birds, look at that shadow there, kind of foreboding. If these two aren't 100% committed.
I like what he's doing. Look what he's doing, Dave. He's pushing out to 10 seconds. He's saying, fine, I'll take second. I'll take second if I need to, because you know what? After this energy that's been put out, I need to do this. Let's go.
And Nathan, so you saw him flicking his elbow there. That's an in-game feature that makes sense. Tenselhoff,
I love it. He used that. I love it.
That's so road style. That's exactly how it works. Tenselhoff comes through. He's taking his pull. Either way, you might as well stay committed because it serves the purpose again of forcing them to chase. The advantage has gone out to 12 seconds. That's going to be Caleb Carl. But Nathan, I'm starting to think with 2K to go, this kind of advantage and the strength of these two, all of
They
a
got
sudden the
it. This is
equation
over.
is
It's over.
right. It's starting to look like they're going to make this one work. And that speaks to the quality of these two riders here. Wow, what a race.
It was
Phenomenal.
on edge for a moment there. For a moment there, if Bird didn't come through, I feel
It was down
like,
to 7 seconds. It was down
yeah,
to
there
7
was a
seconds on the
moment
descent.
there.
Yeah. Whoa, man. So
Well,
now it's sort of inconsequential amongst those two who wins. It's going to be for pride. It's certainly not over. It's not over. Here comes the Condor, Alvarado.
he's trying to get across to Carl. Caleb Carl knows he doesn't have the kick against these boys. I know Carl doesn't have the sprint that you need to win against that group behind here. So Carl just goes, and they're just watching people go up the road, Dave. What is happening here? Alvarado from the Condors up and over the top, uses his drafting power up. He doesn't have an arrow. He doesn't have a feather. He knows he's going to need one. So he says, I'm going, rolling the dice. Bird continues on, 11 seconds. This is nuts. Some of the best racing with these. I mean, who are we going to give the 5K to go hero to here, Dave? We don't have
Boy, what a
5K to
tough
go,
call.
but I mean,
Whew. I got to go with Bruce Bird to tell you the truth. We got 1K to go. Bird asking now for Tenselhoff to come through again, and Tenselhoff might be a little bit hesitant now. This is going to get cagey. Oh, what a race. What a course. What a day it's been here. The fourth race, week 4 now of the third season of 2022, and this has turned into an absolute Donnybrook now. This is going to be the American Alex Tenselhoff for Wahoo Lecole in the blue and purple. In the red is the Canadian monster Bruce Bird. Bird back to the front. No doubt about it. These two, it's about 700 meters to go. It's not going to be all that long until they're on to Libby Hill proper. This is going to be now. He had Caleb Carl to deal with. This is going to be Alvarado. The Condor rider is phenomenal out here as Alvarado now has gone past Carl and
look
he's
at
got his
this.
sights on Bird and Tussauds, and he might make the catch as this is going to be very, very interesting. Caleb Carl in fourth, but it looks like Alvarado, Nathan, might get up to our front two. He is going to join our front two. What an incredible surge we're witnessing from Alvarado.
He's got speed too,
dimming
Dave. He's got speed. He's got 31 kilometers per hour. Is he going to go right by them?
This is
I
incredible.
mean, this is Tenselhoff better respond
Ticket
now.
punching machine, ticket puncher extraordinaire. And Nathan, they are on to Libby Hill. Here we go. Tenselhoff responding now, trying to get onto that wheel. This came out of nowhere for them, and Tenselhoff takes back the lead. Alex Tenselhoff to the front in the American, hits the afterburners. He plays the feather here, and is it going to be enough? Back to you, Nathan Guerra.
13 watts per kilogram over the easily. I mean, Tenselhoff just waited for his moment, makes the kick, takes it down. Alvarado over the top, made the catch. Going to settle for second, though, to the machine that is Alex Tenselhoff. Bruce Bird, I'm giving him the 5K to go hero. It was all Bird when it came to making this race. But look at this.
Break made it.
Mulligan overtakes Jeremy Ray. Is he going to do it? I think Ray's going to come over the top of Mulligan at the last moment, and he is. Jeremy Ray, draft, followed up by Mulligan. Dickinson was in the break, but not. It was, well, he held on, though, for 5th or 6th there. Nice job. What a race, Dave.
Yeah, Dickinson had a great day. Dixon had a great day for sure. What a race is right. So it's interesting, Nathan, if someone asked you, did the breakaway make it in a court of law? I think you'd have to say no. They got caught by Alvarado, but ultimately it did make it. And so what a crazy finale. That's the right racing as exciting as it gets. That's what ZRL, brought to you by WTRL, is all about. So we hit the middle part of the season. We can always send folks, if you want in-depth information on results, you can find that at WTRL.racing. But we'll have a chance to take a look at how things played out. Another fantastic, again, America's East never disappoints, women or men. That men's race might have been the race of the day right there.
Yeah, that was some of the most intense back and forth racing over and over again. Extremely impressive.
Holy cow. Yeah, I'm just trying to unwrap it in my mind, what we saw there. Bruce Bird doing what Bruce Bird does. Let me just jump in, though, Nathan. Thank you very much, as these are the results for our America's East Division 1A women. And Rachel Lieberman gets the win out of Seattle for ATP Racing Stingers. Megan Rathwell, the Canadian for Riot. Shows you they just had a tremendous day. Jennifer Reel, Riot rider in third. Natasha Elliott, good job, Natasha. The Canadian there for Wahoo Lacole ends up in fourth. Laura Perry, impressive job by Laura today. Wahoo Lacole, America's Rider, gets fifth. Meredith Moran, ATP Racing Stingers in sixth. Claire Cameron for Riot in seventh. Tamara Roberts, way to go, Tamara, racing out of Texas for Wahoo Lacole. All our friends from Austin will be cheering on Dan Pedrosa later today, but that's going to be Wahoo Lacole's Tamara Roberts in eighth. Cassandra Rush, what an impact racer she was on the Rivet Cinderellas. And sprinter extraordinaire Christina Grossman for the Riot team, finishing in 10th. And it looks like Riot is back. We'll see how all the teams' points add up, as that's ultimately how we'll award our 20 points on down for our top teams. Throw it back to you, Nathan, for our Bs.
And in the B category, it was Deidre Maloney, followed for Sisu Racing Sula. Laura Bellet there for Sisu Racing Sula as well. Stacy McCudden for Wahoo Lacole America's West B1. Alicia Trevino for WTRL Dinos B Juicers in fourth. Caroline DeFore for the Herd of Butterflies in fifth. And then Amanda Kate comes on through for Cicero Race Go Freya. Summertime for Dutch Diesel Cycling Kirkland's Signature in seventh place. Skylar Goodsward for the Wahoo Lacole America's West B1. Janine Willis for Cicero Race Go Freya. And Geneva Randall comes on through for Dutch Diesel Cycling Kirkland Signature. That is the B category's top 10 situation for the standings. On the points at the end of the day, things got super interesting across the board. But we'll head on over to the C's here real quick before we get any idea of how the standings are after the day today of racing. And in the C category for the women, Dave, in East Division 1.
Great, thanks, Nathan. Lewatt sisters showing up here. JZQC as Jessica Vachon taking the win. A lot of Canadian flags on top of the table here. Brandy Ray taking second today for ATP Racing Hive. It's WTRL, the Dinos, and Annika Belanger taking third. Lauren McMurtry, the American, in fourth for ATP Racing Hive. It's Holly Bird in fifth for No Drama Llamas. Way to go, Llamas. Christy Delaire of Rave Beast Coast in sixth. Sierra Siebenlist, Abske Finesse Eclipse in seventh. Katie Potier of Coalition Eclipse. Different Eclipse spelling. That's Katie in eighth. Susan Clark in ninth. And then Julie Langlois of Lewatt Sisters rounds out your top 10. Viva Quebec. All right. So, Nathan, that's our C's. The D's might be out racing still.
Yeah, I think there may be a couple that I was trying to find them actually out on course, but difficult to do so at times and to see if we can kind of jump in. But I do think on the men's side of things, we do have some results to show as well, and then maybe be able to jump across to some of them. And so these are not. This is actually. I'll have to wait here for a second, guys. We'll get the results up in just a second. Dave, on the men's side of things, we do have some chatter coming on through, though. Awesome racing, Bryn Griffith is saying, great to see you there, Bryn. Ardvik Anvik is saying, I'd say the break made it. Alvarado made a successful bridge to Bird and Tenselhoff.
That's the way to put it.
And then just went right over the top of them, though. I mean, it was like he just carried his speed right. And that's almost like a dream come true moment when you make a bridge and then you just attempt to just ride through everyone. Like, that's kind of just the biggest boss move that you can do. Now, Tenselhoff, though, played, I think, the smartest race on the day with the way that he bridged across, waited for that final moment, sat in, didn't use too much energy with Bird, grabbed some points across that line quickly, did the work he needed to, and then once it came down to the last moments, he just trusted he had the better kick. I think he didn't care if they were caught. I think he was like, okay, I know when I need to go, and I've done the work I need to do to be where I need to be to kick at that 1,000 watts and win the race.
I believe earlier in the broadcast you referenced the racing IQ that Alex Tenselhoff had. Well, let me reference then what he did there, because it's tactically beautiful. He helped Bruce Bird finish up everything on his plate before he started in on his dessert. Right? He knew he had a little bit tucked away over in the corner of his plate, and he let Bruce Bird completely empty the tank. So he played it perfectly there. He didn't panic as well. And that's a savvy racer. When they got caught by Alvarado, he knew what he could do. So he knew his body And certainly I would call that as a mental victory today for Alex Tenselhoff and Wahoo Cole. Now, how it all played out, I have a feeling Draft had a tremendous day when the points all sort out. And that's an interesting part, Nathan, of the Zwift Racing League is you can have one ride, and we saw that today with electricspirit.co. They actually had a couple of riders, two riders have a great day, but you need your whole team to have a great day to be able to get the 20 points and be at the top of the table.
100%.
No one rider
yeah.
can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not one rider alone can do it. And I do think there may have been a day for draft. We'll wait and see about that. I do want to bring in something here from one of our awesome community members real quickly here. As you know, we are going to highlight WLC versus Riot out here today, and it is Laura Perry letting us know the tiny top finally became a sprinter. I may have cried happy tears. Love it. The emotional, the emotional moments
She's
out
worked
here.
hard.
Well, that's the other
Yeah.
thing is, I mean, I love that we bring in the human element, to all of this. So in as many ways as we possibly can, because we are watching avatars sprint out on course here, and the reality of how much effort that these riders put in when we can hear about that and read about it and see it. I absolutely love it. So great job there to Laura Perry and what she got done for the team out there today. On the women's side of things, all said and done. On the men's side of things, these are the results. And there's Tenselhoff with a full 6 seconds, Dave. I mean, that was quite the kick.
Yeah, that was a command performance from Alex. I really have to say. Wahoo Cole, that's what their brand is all about right there. And now we see Adrian Alvarado of Condors taking second, and that certainly was a stunning ride. So the WLC team across the board with men and women, they've been tremendous. Teams like Condors are really coming on strong right now. We're going to hear a lot more about them. Draft A with Bruce Bird and Jeremy Ray. And that's what I'm talking about, Nathan. You don't have to win the race outright to win the day. You can see that Draft has 3 riders in the top 7. They certainly animated things today. Great job by the Canadian outfit there as Jeremy Ray ends up in 4th. American Ian Mulligan for Abscape Finesse Atmosphere. Great name. In 5th, Brandon Dixon. Strong ride today from Dixon. Certainly punching above his weight out there for WLC. Draft Warren Muir in 7th. Michael Painter, Coalition Frenzy, 2 riders there because his Canadian teammate Jean Seville in 9th. And then Jose Cuevas rounds out your top 10 for the Condors. That's the A's. Back to you for the B's here in Central Division 1.
I just want to highlight Adrian Alvarado for those that might not be familiar with this rider. 2009, way back, Pan American Junior Road Race Champion, all the way to 2019, 3rd place Elite Road Race National Championship. It looks like he won the 2018 Elite Road Race National Champion, all out of Chile. So serious race. He's new to my radar, and I just wanted to just highlight the kind of talent that we see. I mean, Tenselhoff here in the Midwest, well-known name amongst the road and the entirety of the gravel scene, and then obviously Bruce Bird at the national level in Canada. I believe multi-time TT national, if I'm not mistaken, champion.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan, thank you so much for noting that because Chile here has made huge strides forward. And isn't it cool to see that flag 2 times in our top 10? The Condors, man, that is one terrifying bird. The largest wingspan of any bird out there. They look like an airplane. That very well could be a condor that was circling above our riders in the Richmond world of Zwift. But it's beautiful. It warms my heart, to tell you the truth, to see that Chilean flag. So we'll look forward to saying Viva Chile a lot more as, I mean, it is this time zone. It's the Americas. That includes South America. And Nathan, we're seeing more and more riders from Chile, Argentina, and Brazil coming up. It's nice to see. Let me throw it back to you, though, for the Bees.
I'm getting messages. Laura Perry says that she probably broke her legs in the last sprint. She's unable to move from the bicycle. Time for an ice bath. It sounds like Robert Neidliner coming on through from Coalition Solis at 46.03. Gustavo Solis coming on through with the Gavia 88 Academy, less than 9/100ths of a second. Justin Allen from the HDR Troopers there, 0.6 of a second back. It's going to be Luis Contreras for 4th place, also for Gavia 88 Academy. David Hansen for HP Racing Lithium in 5th place. Alex Duncan for VCRT Coyotes in 6th. And then Jose Marin for the Gavia 88 Academy in 7th. Eric Chin, CRW B Train in 8th. Sebastian Mallet for Sisu Racing Varus and Christian Dashins comes through from Mo, Foes, CC, Lays, Watt Brothers, JZ, QC, and the award for longest team name, maybe. No, I think there's actually longer ones than that. The C category, we can't. I cannot jump across, you guys. I can't just change categories that easily. Apologies on that, but make sure to head on over to WTRL.racing for more of the results across the entirety of that. We are still working on getting the ability to jump across categories easily. We definitely try to get over there. So it is a limitation that we have. It is not on purpose at all. Just so you know.
Come on, man, get your act together.
I'm trying. We've been working on it for 7 years. I'm really trying to get my act together. I
is-
think I'm halfway there. We'll get the
Well,
full.
you're amazing.
We'll
Yeah,
get the full. What am I looking for here? I've got like some sort of drama I'm trying to pull up from the recesses of the library of my memory right now. Phantom of the Opera or something along those lines. But
drama or trauma, right?
Trauma.
Exactly.
I'm getting trauma from chat. Chat is giving me trauma.
Well, we should also be giving you support. You completely invented this style of esports broadcasting, Nathan. What a great day. We're not done. Looking forward to America's West coming up to wrap up week 4 here. Richmond After Party, a fantastic course. Really, really interesting racing. I'm starting to realize, though, Nathan, I think if we just said race from here and finish 30K from there, if there's a bunch of points out there, we'd end up with a great race with this group. I've said it a million times that racers make the race and they never disappoint. We don't have bad races in esports on Zwift. We never do. So I've come to genuinely, Tuesdays, it's a long day of broadcasting, but we stay so engaged all day. It's almost like for me, Tuesdays don't even exist. It just happens to be a race day. It's like a dream state that you're in out here. So thanks everybody for all the great racing. And we're not quite done, but thank you too, Nathan.
Yeah, of course. And absolutely love it. It's what we live for here. Alejandro Maleo, thank you for letting us know that Adrian will be racing or riding the Grand Fund in New York City in a couple of weeks. It sounds like some good things going down over there. Loving it.
Nice.
Absolutely loving it. So appreciate you guys all hanging out in chat. I have noticed you, Condors. Guys, we'll be back in an hour. Kate's going to be sitting here. Dave's going to be where he's at. And we'll have America's West coming right at you. As always, we appreciate you hanging out. Good job to all the racers. WTRL.racing for more results. Hit that follow button. Turn on your notification bells. And we'll see you in an hour. As always, right on.
Let them see you're perfect.